Hey, welcome back. I'm Mike Wolf with my good buddy Chris Kirkpatrick.
Hey guys.
And this is a great pillar that we're going to talk about because it's one we've both had a lot of experience with it.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those game-changing items that can add a lot of extra money to your bank account and more importantly help a whole lot of people. And that's sharing your knowledge, sharing the things you're an expert at. And Chris, I think you'd agree with me, a lot of people out there, and we felt this way too, don't feel like we're experts. We feel like, everybody's got gifts. We're all born with different gifts. Mm-hmm. And quite often we don't put enough, we just don't feel like
special.
The stuff we know is all that special. We feel like, doesn't everybody know this?
Well, we compare ourselves to our peers, right? And you hang out with a lot of really successful real estate people. I hang out with a lot of really successful financial coaches, and I have mentors in that space. And the people that I learn from, I could tell you, know just as much as I do. So they haven't created a course. So in my mind, I was like, why would I create a course? They haven't done it. Well, the reality is that just wasn't their thing. They weren't interested, whatever. You're watching this, you're probably interested. And it's that you are special. Everybody's an expert at something. And I think what Mike's saying is, hey, he's obviously amazing at what he does in real estate. I've really found that what I do in the financial world is unique and it needs to be heard. And it took a lot of convincing for me to really understand that people wanted to hear what I had to say, and it was uncomfortable for me initially. If you told me 2 years ago I was going to be on this stage with you filming this course and having released my first course a couple months ago, I would have never thought. I would have thought you were crazy, quite frankly. I would have.
And I am crazy, but
that's a different conversation. But seriously, I would have never. I would have bet $1 million because of the fact that I was not comfortable being on camera. I didn't want to learn any new platforms. I was doing everything I could to stay up to date with what I knew and trying to be proficient and an expert in everything that I do.
Right, and the biggest problem with that though is that you were working one-to-one. And you can help one person at a time.
Totally.
Which doesn't help a lot of people, it helps a few people, and it also doesn't make you a lot of money, and it requires your time. And you can't buy back that time.
Constantly trading.
So if we're talking passive income, the beautiful thing about some of the stuff we're going to teach you is that we can make it so it's available online. Now you create it once, get paid for it over and over and over again. But even more importantly, the money's great, but more importantly, people need your gifts. Mm-hmm. When we see all this stuff that goes on this planet, all these bad things that we see in the news that are happening, we need you. We need people like you to share your knowledge. We need the good people to get their message out there
100%.
And help other people. And we all have gifts, but even if you don't think that you do, and you're skeptical and think, oh, I can't do this, or I can't, I'll give you an example. I had somebody call me up who has an interest in real estate investing. He wasn't successful yet as a real estate investor, but he wanted to go and spread some of the knowledge of some of the different real estate investors out there. So he basically interviewed me, turned that into a chapter in a book, interviewed another real estate expert, turned that into another chapter. He interviewed a whole bunch of people that are very prominent in the real estate industry, created a book, and then he made a course based on what he learned. So he synthesized other people's stuff. So if you were to take a book and copy it word for word, that's plagiarism. When you take 10 books and take pieces of it, that's called research. So it's two very, very different things. And so what you want to do, people are paying you for your perspective. So you could take, you could go read a bunch of books and then put your take on it, put your own spin on it, and now it's your own work. So there's a whole lot of different ways you can do this. You don't have to get hung up on it. And a lot of people also get hung up on, I'm scared to be on video. One, I'd say, get over it, because if nobody, I certainly was not comfortable on video.
Right.
Until a number of years ago, I forced myself to make my first video. And then when I started to get really good people started giving me feedback and say, that was really helpful, and I learned so much from what you put out there. Then you start to realize this isn't for you. You have to get over it, not for you. You have to get it out there for the people that you're going to serve, the people whose lives you can change with what you know. So you got to do that. And if you're still afraid, even after I said all that, you can do webinars, for example, where it shows a PowerPoint and a picture of you, and it doesn't have to show you moving. Or you can do what I do, and I still don't like to watch my own videos. So I'll make them, I let other people deal with it, I don't watch them, and I just keep making them, and I know it's helping. So you got to get over it. It's if you know this is going to change, if you know this is going to get you out of that 9-to-5 grind and get you out of driving through traffic every day and give you more time with your family, you're not going to let this stop you.
Well, one of my favorite sayings is if it's worth doing poorly until you're good at it, right? And so you're good at something, you're an expert at something, you're amazing at something. You may not be an expert at presenting that something yet. And so that's your challenge. That may be your hurdle you need to get over. But I promise you, you're never going to get good at it. You're never going to be excellent at it until you are poor at it, until you put yourself in a position where, quite frankly, you suck, and you're just going to get better and better and better and better. And for me, it's laughable when I look back at my first videos to now, and it's progressively gets better and better and better. Not to say, that you're always going to be learning.
Everything's a work in progress.
Totally.
And everything's always evolving.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is you got to take imperfect action because, probably 10 years from now, we're going to look back on this and think, man, was that ever amateur? I mean, but we'll still, these videos that are amateur, actually, these are pretty sophisticated compared to what we used to. We're in a studio. I mean, normally I'm shooting video with this, with my iPhone. So this is a big upgrade. But even the videos that I shoot with my iPhone that are not perfect, the sound's not perfect, the picture's pretty good, but it's not perfect. It's certainly not studio quality. But those videos that are imperfect are still changing people's lives and helping them.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't have to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. And whatever you do is going to evolve if you get started. If you never get started, you're going to be in the same position 5 years from now that you are today. So you just got to take action.
Right. No, absolutely. And so we just want to encourage you. Just think. I would say write a list of things that you're passionate about, right? It's figure out what you love, because most people don't like their jobs. Most people are unhappy with the results they're getting financially in life. And as a financial coach, what I can tell you is most people, what separates people from financial security to bankruptcy is only $300 a month. So if you could take your gifts or your interests and figure out how you can position yourself to be an expert, or at least somebody who is good enough to share this information, because let's be realistic, it takes a lot for most people to feel like an expert, right? But if you know just a little bit more than somebody about something, you can make a difference in that person's life. You don't need to be better than Warren Buffett when it comes to investing, because let's face it, you're probably never going to get there. And if you think you're going to try, you're probably never going to take action because you don't feel like you can accomplish it. And on the flip side of that, if you know more about investing than, 50% of the people in the world, you could go put out some information and figure a way to go out and share that information with people, and it can make a positive impact in their life. So
of course,
go out and take that step.
Yeah, well, I think back to when you're in grade school, when you're in grade 1. Those kids in grade 2, didn't they seem like geniuses? Weren't they brilliant? So there's always somebody who's going to be ahead of you. There's always going to be people behind you, and they're going to admire you and look up to you. And I've been teaching real estate for quite a number of years, and I certainly didn't know when I first started teaching what I know now. I knew enough that it was a lot more than a segment of the population, but I'd say, until I know everything there is to know about real estate, who am I to teach real estate? Because the stuff I knew was life-changing for people who didn't know what I knew. And so there's stuff that maybe you survived. I mean, if you raised kids, if you survived parenthood, you could teach how you survived. I mean, there's a whole lot of different ways they can create stuff. And the other really cool thing is that these days you can have other people contribute the content even for you. Like, look at Facebook. Facebook doesn't provide any content. It provides a platform for other people to put their content out there. And there's websites pertaining to real estate where different people like myself contribute. We'll put articles on there. The people who run it you don't have to be necessarily the expert on it.
Totally.
But you can position yourself as the expert by creating different things where other people will congregate and post blogs and information. And now you become the go-to person for real estate, even though maybe you've never done a real estate deal. So lots of different ways you can monetize, help people, and you just got to get started. And things are just going to evolve. Once you take action, I believe that the universe rewards people who take action. 100%. And as you start to do things, all of a sudden the right people, the right opportunities, the right things will start to pop into your life. And it just puts you on this really cool path where things just, when you do the right things, you'll get in the flow and things just happen, they fall into place.
So my question for you then, when you figure it out, when you first figure out, okay, I'm good at this, or I'm passionate about this, I enjoy this, I've kind of think I've figured out a way to monetize whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you start? Like, what are the next steps? How do you get going?
Well, there's a lot of different ways to what we do call positioning. It's all about positioning yourself, because you could be the smartest expert in the world. I can know everything there is to know about real estate, but if nobody else knows that I know that,
Totally.
it doesn't. There's going to be somebody out there who's really good at marketing that's going to go take that space.
For sure.
So if you're not doing it, your competitors will be. And so what you want to do is you want to go position yourself. That could be from a number of different things. And you don't have to do all these, but you can go write a book. Obviously, there's a bit of a process to that. Some people are good writers. You can go create a YouTube channel, which is the way I've got a lot of clients over the years. As many of you know, I spend a lot of my time traveling, so I'm not near I have a studio back at home that I almost never use. I use my smartphone, and I'll be on a beach somewhere, and I'll just take it out, shoot a 2-minute video, and upload it to YouTube. I know you like to use Periscope. There's a lot of different ways that you can use the things that you already have in your pocket with you everywhere you go. You can use those and put them onto free platforms such as YouTube, such as Periscope. All these things are free. They don't cost you any money. And if you start posting that stuff, the reason I love YouTube is owned by Google. So if people start searching real estate investing, and I put a video on YouTube called real estate investing, people when they search will find me. And now people who didn't have a clue who I was before now get to see me. And that's the power of the internet, the power of technology. Totally. This stuff, not that many years ago, you couldn't have done it because it didn't exist. And then when it became something that existed, originally it was way too expensive. I mean, it was so cost prohibitive. We didn't have these avenues. So we have so many things available to us now that are free or very inexpensive. And if you take advantage of them, I mean, I don't even know how much money I've made off my YouTube channel. And how much have I spent on YouTube? Zero. I haven't spent a dime. So that's one way. Another thing that I've used very effectively is go on meetup.com, meetup.com. And for those of you who haven't been there, meetup.com is a website where you can go and start a group. So for me, I could start a group that's called Real Estate Investors Club of Calgary. And people who have an interest in that topic will now sign up for it, and I can go either put on a live event for them and get together in a group with a bunch of people that either are real estate investors or want to be real estate investors, or I could post I'm doing a webinar at such and such a time. And I've used that to build quite a following as well. So there's a lot of different things. Meetup is very inexpensive. I think it's like $72 for 6 months until you get to a certain number of members. And you actually get 3 groups. So what I do is I will put it in 3 different cities, even if I don't live in those cities. But guess what? I like to travel. So guess what? When I show up to that city, I'll put on a meetup, and that might pay for my trip out there many times over. So because now I'm going to get a group of people I know are interested. I'm going to give them good information, give them a lot of value, and then I'll also give them a way to work with me. And so if you've created an online course, for example, which we encourage, well, now you can sell DVDs at the back of the room. So a lot of people say, I wish I could travel as much as you do. Well, I just came back. I was actually speaking in Sydney, Australia a couple of months ago, and guess what? That trip paid for itself numerous times over from what I sold while I was speaking. But if somebody didn't invite me to speak, I could go put on my own event using Meetup. It's phenomenal, and it's almost free. And once again, when I look at how much money I've made off it, and once again, even more importantly, how much value I've added to other people, how many people I've inspired and helped them on their path to financial independence and freedom, it's a game changer for them, and it's great for me too. It's win-win.
That's awesome. I think that comes back to the point of positioning and setting up systems to create the life that you want, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. I mean, that's so important.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And so it starts with positioning. It starts with really framing yourself as the expert and growing into that. And let's face it, the more you talk to people, the more you're at meetup groups, in front of small groups, getting started, the more then you start getting on video, doing Periscopes, doing YouTube videos, even if they're imperfect. Like you said, getting started is the first step. Like him, everything I did is mostly on my iPhone. I don't own a camcorder. We're in a studio now. This is the first time we've used a studio. We've really just, I'm gonna say, shotgunned it in a sense and figured it out by really trial and error, for lack of a better term. And doing so, you learn a lot, you go through the process and so on and so forth. But once you position yourself, once you get comfortable, once you're at that point in time, then is, I think, when you can start creating an online course. And I think that's a big thing, like you said, because there's really no point in going to speak or, obviously there is a point. You can go make an impact in people's lives and help people out a lot. But obviously most people need to be able to monetize it on some level. And I'm a big believer that you should be able to be compensated directly in correlation with the value that you kind of add to the world and that you give back to the world.
Right, but here's a cool thing, and what I'd recommend to everybody is creating what we call a list. And what a list is basically a bunch of people's emails.
Yeah.
These are people that are interested in your topic. And so, at the end of my YouTube videos, I'll say, hey, if you found this interesting, then, come to this such and such a webpage, and I'm going to give you a free ebook on this topic. So you're going to give away something for free quite often that people are raising their hand and saying, hey, I have an interest in that. They come there and they come to what's called a squeeze page or a landing page. And there's only one thing you can do on that page, and that's to give your name and email address to get something usually for free.
Totally.
Now you're building a list of people that you know are interested in your topic. You can market to them over and over and over. So even if you don't have anything to sell now, start creating free content, start building that list. And even though you might not make a dime off it immediately, that list becomes very valuable for a number of reasons. One is as you create your product, you're able to sell it to them. Two, there's other people out there that have product. We're going to talk a lot about this when we get to the affiliate pillar in this course. But with affiliates, you can promote other people's stuff. If somebody signs up to your list on parenthood, maybe you haven't created your course yet on parenthood, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff out there that maybe you really like and you believe in, and now you can become an affiliate and they'll pay you for sending that lead. So there's a whole lot of advantages to building this list, and it becomes one of your most valuable assets as that list grows. So you don't necessarily have to have a product right off the bat, but you want to start thinking about, what can I create? What would be the different ways that people could work with me? If I know they have an interest in the stuff that I know, how can they work with me? How can I monetize that? How can I add more value to them? What does that look like? And so you might want to strategize on that, but you don't have to have all the answers before you start. It's going to evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with that in mind, it really comes down, we're going to call it a lead magnet, right? When you give something for free, you really need, if you want to build a list, which you need to build a list, you need to be able to give something of value. And what you're doing there, it comes back to the positioning, right? You're positioning yourself as an expert. And virtually every single person in this world has something that they could create, whether it's a PDF, a quick video, something of that nature, where you could make it available, put it online, put it on a website, put it in a funnel, we're going to call it, and people are going to go there, give you their information, and they're happy to help you build your list just because you're going to give them something of value in return. There's always got to be exchange of value for information or value for their personal information. And in the process, you build your list, and in the process, you can get down the road of affiliates, you can release your own course down the road.
Exactly.
And so, talking about own courses, right? What do you suggest, to get started as far as building courses? Because there's a lot of information out there, and it used to be 5 years ago, it was really complex. It was really hard to build your own course. So at this point in time, Mike, with the world that we're living in, it's way easier. You've been doing this longer than I have, right? As far as the online courses and the funnels and all that stuff. How much easier is it today than it used to be?
It is really easy today for a number of reasons. One, there's a whole bunch of people. The internet has made this world much smaller. And there's people in other countries around the world that, a US dollar goes a lot further in their country than it does here. So you can get people overseas to do things like video editing for very little money, create logos. A lot of the stuff that used to be really expensive, really time consuming, difficult to do, delegate it all out. Don't try to do everything. Your job is to create the content. Once again, it doesn't have to be fancy. You can use your smartphone. You can use a camcorder. It doesn't have to be fancy at all. People are paying for your knowledge and your perspective. They're not paying because they want you to look like you are on a major network. They don't want it slick. People want authenticity. They want to see the real you, and people are gonna fall in love with you and who you are, and that's the biggest thing you've got that keeps your competitors don't have. Everybody resonates with a different style. So think of it this way. Think of your favorite music group. You could easily go buy the CD. Do they still do CDs?
Somewhere.
MP3, whatever, download from iTunes. You can listen to the music at home. but people will still pay to go see them live, or people will want more of you. And so really it's all about building that following, getting people to love you, become your fans. And I'll never forget the first time, I have a whole bunch of YouTube videos out there, and I had spoken on some stages at this point, but I don't really consider myself by any stretch of the imagination to be a celebrity. But I'll never forget the first time I went to an event and I was actually speaking at it. I was checking, there was a board that listed all the speakers that were, and what time and what stage they were going to be on. And there was somebody standing in front of me, he didn't know I was behind him. He goes, "Oh, Mike Wolf is speaking at 2:30. We've got to go see him." He's talking to his friend. And I said, "Yes, you do."
You're kind of a big deal.
But it's really cool, because back in the day, we couldn't just go put ourselves on TV.
Totally.
But today we have the ability to get our message out there for free or for very little money. And as people start to catch on, they tell their friends. And there's different ways to get other people to recommend you and share your videos, share your content. But once again, you just got to get started. You just got to take action. You got to get you got to get out of that comfort zone. And all the best stuff happens when you get out of the comfort zone, because back in the day, I used to do real estate just for myself for many years. And I started investing as a Canadian. I started investing in the U.S. before the recession kicked in, and all my friends in Canada thought I was nuts because our dollar was really weak, kind of like it is again now. And the homes in Las Vegas, where I was investing, were even more expensive than the homes in Calgary, where I lived. And I just saw a really good opportunity. I ran with it. So there was a lot of things I did wrong. There's a lot of things I did right. At the end of the day, I learned a lot from that experience, and I figured out how, as a Canadian, to invest properly in the U.S. for myself. Well, all of a sudden the recession kicked in, and the Canadian dollar shot up, and it became really cool. And of course, the prices came way down in the U.S. And in Canada, we were pretty insulated from the recession, so it became really cool for Canadians to invest in the U.S. And all my friends started to call me up and say, "Mike, how do we? I know we used to make fun of you, but how do we do this? How do we get started investing in the U.S.?" And all of a sudden, I became an expert on something I wasn't even trying to become an expert in. And out of the blue, I get a call from a really big real estate organization, a very well-known brand. And they said, "Mike, we're looking for a Canadian who's invested in the U.S. Your name keeps coming up. Could you come speak for us?" And at that point, I had never spoken on a stage before in my life. I was terrified, and it would have been really easy for me to say no. However, when one of your heroes calls you up and says, "Can you come speak for us?" it's almost impossible to say no.
You have no
so
choice.
I didn't need the money, I didn't need the fame, I wasn't looking for any of that. But so I had to say yes. So I put myself in the spotlight. I ended up being on the stage. I was terrified. In my mind, I thought I bombed. But afterwards, people came up to me and said, "Wow, we learned so much. How can we work with you?" And
that's awesome.
I forced myself to get out of my comfort zone. Now, speaking on stage is something I actually enjoy. I love. I get a lot of energy from the audience doing it, and I've managed to help so many people because I got out of my comfort zone and I just did it. And now that was a stepping stone to doing other bigger things. I would have never probably been able to speak on camera had I not gotten over speaking on stage in front of a live group. So as your comfort zone expands, there's more and more things that you can now do, and more people start to call on you. "Hey, can you be on my podcast? Can you be on my TV show? Can you be on my radio show?" All these opportunities open up because I took action. I did not take action thinking, one day it's going to lead to this, and this. It's just take that perfect action, get out of that comfort zone, do the things you don't really want to do. If you want to get financially free and you want to have the ultimate freedom, this added a lot more revenue to what I did. I didn't need.
What you're already
I didn't really need them. I was doing very well at what I was doing, but for a lot of you that maybe aren't at the level where you're happy with your finances just yet, this is a total game changer for you, because now you're going to start to get a following and things are going to build. It's going to lead to a whole bunch of things you can't even imagine that are around the bend. I mean, right now you have, it's kind of like in a car. You can see what's in front of you. You got the headlights, they're aiming straight ahead. You can see, A, B, and C opportunity, but around the bend, there's all these other opportunities that wait. But you just got to get started. You got to push yourself. And when you do that, all these great things open up to you. The world, it just expands. The possibilities just expand tremendously. So don't worry about it being perfect. I challenge, if you're watching this, I challenge you right now, take out your smartphone. I know everybody watching this, I'm guessing, has a smartphone. If you don't, you should get one. But shoot a 2-minute video on just something that's important to you. And create a YouTube channel, which is free, costs $0, and post it. Just do it. And you may not get a result immediately on the very first video, but make a habit of shooting maybe a couple of videos every single week. just posting on something that's important to you. Doesn't have to be edited. After a while, you'll learn to do everything in one take, because if you suck at editing like me, you force yourself to do it right the first take. But that's going to take practice. So give yourself a little whiteboard, list a bunch of bullet points on the things that you want to touch on, and just touch on 2 or 3 points, and just get good at doing it. There's no, practice will never lead to you getting worse at doing something. So just start doing it and get used to it, and pretend you were going to write a book. Write out the different headings of the different things pertaining to your topic, maybe 12 different chapters, then a bunch of subheadings, and each of those can be a video. And just give it away for free, but start building a following and get used to building the following and the list. It's going to make all the difference.
Absolutely. And so when you do that, it's very easy to position yourself as an expert just by building a YouTube channel, by building a YouTube page and just doing video after video after video. And like you said, 2-minute videos, 3-minute videos, 4-minute videos. Even I think most people like the short videos, and so it's easier to do it in one take.
Yeah, well, most people have the attention span of a fly these days,
exactly.
if not less.
Exactly.
And so people don't want to, and it's not to say you couldn't make a 2-hour video. If you have a great topic, people who love that topic will tune in for the whole time. But in general, free videos, if you make them short, it attracts different people with interest in your topic, and gets them interested in wanting more. And then eventually you can make longer videos, especially if they're paid videos. But I know people that have built their entire business on YouTube. A good friend of mine, Kevin Ward. If you're a realtor, check out Kevin Ward. He is, in my opinion, the leading real estate realtor trainer probably in the world right now. And he built his entire following making free videos and putting them on YouTube.
Yeah, and that's fantastic.
And I can tell you he's making like 7 figures now.
But I think it's key also, and why I love creating your own course or having something of value that you create on a website where, let's call it a membership platform, where people can either pay you a subscription or they can pay a one-time fee and they have access to maybe 5 videos or whatever. Maybe it's a PDF, maybe it's worksheets, maybe it's whatever it is that you can create and that you can add a value to people's lives. Having your own place that you can send people is key, because when you go to a meetup group, when you have a YouTube page, when you go do speaking, if you have a book, you want to be able to have some place that you can direct people to, so you can build your list, so you can try to monetize it. Because like I said, most people, face it, there's a lot of talk out there about getting rich, and we talk about it with your real estate investing all the time. You're not going to get rich quick, and if you try, can you do it? Sure, but you're most likely going to fail, and when you do, you're going to crash and burn. So instead of trying to get rich quick and have that microwave mentality where you want what you want and you want it now, why not set up a system that guarantees, with as much of a guarantee as possible, I should say, that if you just follow a system, your life is going to get better and better and better systematically every single year for the rest of your life. And I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds like magic, and it is magic, and it's very, very doable. And creating your own course allows you to do that. And like I said before, we're talking $300 a month is what separates people who are on the edge of financial hardship from bankruptcy to financial security. And it's not hard to create an extra $300 a month in revenue. And for a lot of people, we're talking that's a 15-20% income increase.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
really cool thing about all this is like I said, this wasn't possible just not that many years ago. It wasn't even an option, and now it's something anybody can do in their spare time. And look at it like this. Imagine I've got a 4-month-old grandson, and when I create content, this is stuff I want to pass on to him. I'm creating as if it was for him, and I'm teaching him everything that I know. I'm putting everything out there, and as easy to understand format as possible, so that when I'm gone, he'll still be able to benefit from my wisdom. So create it as if it was for your kids, for your grandkids, whoever it is, for somebody who's very important to you, and just put it all out there. And I'm sure there's things that you want to pass on to your future generations. So whatever that is, that's probably what you should be creating right now. Start creating, start putting it out there, start putting little snippets. Like I said, create that YouTube channel. Periscope is great, Facebook Live. There's all these different mediums right now, and they can all be done through a smartphone with no other technology.
Absolutely. So what I want to talk about real quick is, if you're interested in building a course, if you're at that stage right now, I think it's vital to create a course of your own. A lot of people get hung up on what to do. And there are so many options out there for course platforms. And I'm not gonna go into all of them, and there are so many awesome options out there, quite frankly. But what I wanna do is just kind of list off a couple of our favorites. And what I can tell you, if you're looking to create a funnel and you want your autoresponder and everything integrated, I can just tell you what you're watching this on right now is a thing called ClickFunnels. And ClickFunnels is amazing because it ties everything together. It ties in if you want to do affiliate programs, they have a program for that ties it in. They have the email autoresponder, and they have the website, easy website builder all in one. Now, I'm not trying to tell you to sell that, or sell that to you. I'm just telling you because that's what we're using and it's the best. We've looked at them all, whatever. However, it's not cheap. It's not the most affordable, cost-effective option out there. If you're looking for something that's more affordable, that's maybe an economical option for you, there are all sorts of free options out there that I think people miss, and it took a lot of research to find these, but Thinkific is an amazing site that looks super professional. It doesn't cost you a dime to get started. You can get started and build a course right now. Even if you're not sure what it's all gonna look like, I encourage you, just go to like Thinkific or Udemy.com, UDEMY.com, or you could go to clickbank.com and put some stuff up there and start the process of building a course. I would encourage, just get started, right? Because that's
Absolutely.
the hardest part.
And you know what? I know a lot of you are probably like me, and you're thinking, oh, all this technology stuff, I don't even know, I don't have a clue how to work any of that. There's lots of people out there that can help you with it, many of them for very little money, like I said, overseas. But a lot of the stuff, your job, go create the content. Don't let the technology stop you. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can buy, like I said, a camcorder. I recommend, if possible, having a good microphone. They're not very expensive. I love Canon camcorders because they all have a microphone in jack, and you can get either wireless microphones or wired, what they're called lavalier microphones. You get really good ones for like $80. You can also get them for your iPhone or your those other supposedly smartphones. You can get microphones that plug in and they go in your lapel, much like the one I've got here. Very inexpensive. But don't even let that stop you. Go shoot videos. Your videos that have just mediocre sound quality are going to make you a lot more money than the videos you don't shoot. So start making them. It's a game changer, and don't let technology stop you. There's lots of people that can help you with it. Trust me, if technology was a limiting factor, I would not be here right now because I would have pulled out all my hair, and there's no way. So I get your fear of technology, and some of you are good at it, and I know some of you are scared of it. Don't let that stop you. Your job is just to get your thoughts onto video and get your message out there.
And with that said, what I want to do is if you look at the link, there's going to be a link somewhere on this page, and download the PDF and make sure you look through that, because what we've done is we've listed out all of the microphones, the lavaliers, the programs, the recording applications that you can get on your iPhone, for instance, that you can utilize if you're looking to create video. There are all sorts of different options that we've put on there to eliminate all the, trial and error on your side of the fence. All the online courses that are free at the different levels. Everything that we've looked into, that we've tried, that we've used, so you can go through that, and it'll save you literally, I'm going to tell you, hundreds of hours, because we've got hundreds of hours just into researching this stuff. And that alone, this one PDF, is going to help save you a lot of time, and it's going to help you circumvent that technology problem that you may be having if you're like I was at the very beginning. And it's going to help you just figure out what do you need to do, and it's just really, really effective, and it'll help you a ton. So
it's so important. I think just get started right now.
Yes.
Literally go shoot a video. Get over the fear. It's made such a big difference to both of our careers. Most of the people I hang out with have created very successful courses. And that's just the beginning, because to me, one of the things I teach my entrepreneurial students, also in addition to real estate, I teach entrepreneurs. And the first thing is getting good at something, taking your gift, your expertise, monetizing that. For me, it was buying real estate. But then after that, I made a whole bunch more revenue by teaching people how to do real estate or doing it for them, having my turnkey programs. But then an even higher level than that is eventually you can teach people to teach your stuff and create a certification program. And now you've really scaled your business. So these are the different levels. This is what's possible.
Totally.
Imagine having 1,000 people worldwide teaching your content, and you get paid every time they get a client. Imagine what that looks like, what that does to your finances when that happens. So don't try to start with that, but this is something you can work your way up to. But if you don't take the next step, you're not going to get there.
Totally. So I would just encourage everybody right now, we're gonna finish this video off for now, but turn this off. Go film your first video. Go get started. I don't care what it is. If you're just talking about what's going on in the world today, put a video up, try to add value, give your opinion, give your perspective, add value to somebody's life, try to make a difference in somebody's life, because when you do that, when you go out and add value, you're gonna have value come back to you. And I think that's huge. So get started, and we look forward to going forward. But for now, thanks for being here. I'm Chris Kirkpatrick.
Mike Wolf.
We'll see you around.
See you soon.